Hey guys, welcome to the review show. My name is Austin. Kraven the Hunter stars Aaron Taylor Johnson. Kraven's complex relationship with his ruthless father starts him down a path of vengeance, motivating him to become not only the greatest hunter in the world, but also one of the most feared. So I've been sick for like the past week. So that's the reason why it's only taken me a week now to actually review some of these movies. But yeah, so if wondering where I've been for the past week, that's why. Now we're going to talk about Kraven, which is a movie that I was kind of like having hopes that it was really good. Definitely thought that this was going to be better than Madam Web and Morbius, which is not a very high bar to jump over. But in my mind, I was like, you have a good actor in it, you have a good like director and a good writer behind them. So it's like, all right, this has to be better. It's got to be a fun movie. It's also rated R. When I wanted Venom to be rated R, and they never made Venom rated R, but they made Kraven rated R, it's like Venom would have been better if it was rated R. But whatever, fine. Throwing that to the side, this movie sucks. Is it better than Madam Web and Morbius? Yeah, not saying much, but it is. This movie is garbage, boring, lifeless. Like Aaron Tyler Johnson, he's fine in the film. He definitely is not terrible, but you definitely see that he's phoning it in. Like comparable to his other roles, you definitely can see the effort in like Bullet Train, which I really liked him in. That's the first time I really recognized him as an actor. He was fun, like energetic. You could see the performance from him. Here, I don't. It's the most wooden ass delivery with this wooden ass dialogue I have ever seen in a film in a while. Like this is like the dialogue in this movie is like Madam Web bad. Let's just say that it is Madam Web dialogue really bad. A character in this movie that said like my grandma died and that was the last time I ever saw her. I'm like, yeah, that makes that checks out because she's dead. Now if they swap the line around like where she said like yeah that was the last time I saw my grandma and she died a few months later. It's like that would make more sense. But the way that they wrote the dialogue and the way it was delivered, I'm like, yeah, no, yeah, it makes yeah, you'd probably be the last time you ever saw her because she died. So dialogue is awful. Acting is mid at best from Aaron Taylor Johnson. The story where you died. This is the problem when you have a movie without Spider-Man. You try to make these villains good guys, and it just doesn't work. But it's also terrible writing, so it could work, but not with this writing. So in this movie, you have Kraven, who is not really Kraven. It's not. He doesn't really even act like Kraven. It's just more like this guy who has this past with his father, which is not very subtle, like foundation at all. It's a very rough foundation where he hates his dad, so he ran away and actually became this hunter. And so he hunts bad people like his dad, and he doesn't want to become like his dad at all. And his dad's played by Russell Crowe, and it just has like this most terrible Russian accent ever. And you listen to this Russian accent for like 30 minutes. So this movie starts out with Aaron Taylor Johnson breaking out of this prison and killing this guy. And for the next 30 minutes, it's like this flashback origin story with young Kraven constantly whining, complaining, and crying. And it's just this most annoying, contrived backstory with. And next you have this young girl who saves him. It's when they don't even look like they're in the same area where Kraven is. It's so stupid and so terribly executed, so bad. Next we jump to present day where Kraven's all grown up and now you have this guy who wants revenge on Kraven, I guess, which by the way is the actor played that was in Face Off that played Pollux Troy. He played Nicolas Cage's brother, Pollux Troy, the only guy that actually kind of seems like he is having a fun time acting in this movie. He's like the only one that's actually kind of leading into the stupidness of the script that is just really bad. And throwing aside that he plays the Rhino and how terrible his CGI is towards the end, throwing that aside, I actually did like his performance because it was so ridiculous and over the top that it actually worked with what was going on in the film itself, how the film was. He kind of actually brought some form of life to the movie. Everyone else is just boring and dull and adds nothing. Even Taron Johnson, even though I really like him, he just adds zero any form of chemistry in this film, especially with this side chick that is in this movie who saved him as a kid, and they kind of work with one another in present day, and it's just so forced, so contrived, so uninteresting. It's just not interesting at all. I mean, and when the action is there, it's fun, I guess. Great, like Aaron Tyler Johnson definitely put a lot of work in his fatigues. Like you definitely see that this dude worked out and got ripped, and like you can see him when he's doing some of these stunts that they're choreographed very well, I guess, and having the elements of blood actually being shown in the movie added some form of, I don't know, character to the film. And it's definitely like, it separates itself from the Villeneuve films and the Morbius and Madame Web. Like it had some form of edge to it. So the action is fine when it's there. It's just the story is so dull. It's so dragged out. And this is also like the longest one in the whole entire franchise, I think. Like it's like 2 hour. This movie is like 2 hours long. You could have easily cut out 30 minutes, which is literally just the flashback scenes. And this movie would have been, I don't know, better slightly, I guess, because it would have been just nonstop action in a way. I this I wanted this movie to be good because I like Aaron Taron Johnson, um, and it just had so much promise behind it. But it just the execution of it was just dull, boring, forgettable. I just simply didn't care. I'm gonna give Kraven the Hunter a D minus. It has a slight better entertainment over Madam Web and Morbius. I mean, Madam Web is laughable bad if you watch that with friends. Like, go check out my commentary that I did earlier this year. Had a lot more of a fun time watching it with somebody than watching it by myself. But yeah, these movies are just awful. Apparently, this is they're taking a break after this one, and people are wondering if this is gonna like Sony's gonna sell the Spider-Man rights back to Marvel. Sony's not gonna do that for one. They're not stupid. Like they make millions of dollars off of just Tom Holland Spider-Man. Why would they ever do that? Like they made almost $2 billion off of No Way Home. Did it? Maybe it did make $2 billion. Why in the hell would Sony sell the rights? It doesn't make any sense to know. And they have the Spider-Verse movies that are doing really well for them. It's just literally like these villain films that are just god awful, that are just write off so then they can keep the rights because they have a limit, because they have to release a certain amount of Spider-Man movies in a certain amount of time. Like that's just because of the contract that they have with the Spider-Man rights. Or if they don't, then the Spider-Man rights will go back to Marvel. But since they have Spider-Verse coming out in 2 years now, since that movie's been delayed, and next you have next you have Tom Holland Spider-Man 4 coming out, they don't need to make any more of these side character movies for the moment, and they can take their time with them now until those two films are out and out the door, until they need something to continue their contract. So yeah, if you haven't seen Kraven already, don't bother going out and seeing this. Don't even ever really watch this movie ever. So yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on this. Sorry, it took me a week to give some form of review out on this movie. Like I said, I was sick, so hopefully the wait was worth it. Anyway, guys, thank you much for watching. Like always, I'll see you guys next review. Bye, guys.